I lived in the village for about a year and a half or so, and then I ended up moving to the Chelsea, and uh, Patty and Robert were living next door. I mean, for example, this is one of the places where we're kind of ran head on with each other again, and we had lots of the same friends and so on. And the Chelsea was wonderful. I had an amazing time living there. Met all sorts of great people. Did all sorts of great things. And I did at the time. I was doing large drawings with using mostly pencil, and so I was just sort of biding my time because I had a very specific style, and um, it was what I liked to do. And so I figured that there's no big hurry. I was really young, and I wasn't in big hurry to make money or become famous. What I wanted was respect from other artists and to be able to keep making stuff and getting better. One of the conceptual artists I was very dear friends with was Robert Smithson, and he was one of the kind of the first people that got famous for, under that aegis. And we had both grown up in New Jersey. He and I were buddies. He was married, but we didn't have that kind of affair, but there was real love there and a kind of a soul thing. And I was sort of like Beatrice, because at this time I had started hanging out and going to, working and hanging out in gay bars. And he was fascinated with the after hours, et cetera, life. And he used to get, pub crawl with me, do after hours and so on. And it was sort of, for him, it was a big adventure. But he was a genius. He was a brilliant person and funny. And we both grew up one town away from each other, New Jersey. We're Catholic. And his early stuff, which people don't know about, was so much like had so much the same frame of reference as mine. I didn't find that out until after he died. There's a huge clump of very close friends and best friends that died during what I call the plague, during AIDS. And that is not so unusual, but so many of my friends were in the first wave of it because in New York, even worse than California, people cross-pollinated a lot more. And in 1980, they were all shooting up. I mean, I don't care who they were all shooting up and doing it very unsanitarily. I mean, out in San Francisco, when everybody's doing it, people had clean thises and that's, everybody was very hedonistic at the time. And in New York, when I went back to visit after coming out here, I was frightened by it. I said, "You guys are crazy." I sat in the back of a limousine and watched a bunch of my friends pass around one needle. And I said, "What are you guys doing? I mean, you're gonna kill yourselves that way." And at the time, I didn't know AIDS existed yet. But that was 1980. The first person I knew to die of AIDS was my dear friend Fred Myers, who played keyboard for me when Lou Reed and I went on tour. He was the first person that I knew that came down with AIDS. He died in 1981, I think. And he, exhibited dementia really early. When I moved out here, my stuff was underneath the rise. I had everything packed, either go to storage or get sent out here. And he flipped out and because he was ill and decided that I had left him and burned everything I owned on his roof. So that was a big loss because that was sort of wiped out a lot of my New York stuff. What happened is I had 30 of them that I finally let Rauschenberg and Marisol see them. Marisol was a very celebrated artist in the pop period. She was did beautiful draftsmanship, and she used colored pencils. She drew her stuff, and she did them on sculptural forms. She was very, very well known in the 60s. Very beautiful woman, Venezuelan. And I took her on her first acid trip when she was 40. She asked me to be her guide, so I was. And we had an amazing time. But anyway, so both Marisol and Rauschenberg saw my work. Rauschenberg said that he thought it was brilliant, and he told Leo Castelli that he should see it. And Leo Castelli was the biggest dealer in New York at the time. Lovely, elegant, very, I knew him socially. Uh, very interesting man. I lived in the Chelsea for a year and a half, whatever. I had all sorts of interesting things happen during that period, and spent a lot of time at Max's, as everybody that lived at the Chelsea did. And one of the reasons I moved out was because everybody knew your business. It's like, the guys at the desk were charming, but they were very gossipy. And some of the people that I saw were, things, there were extenuating circumstances, let's put it that way. And some of them involved people that I was seeing the same time as other people. And left to my own devices, I was very discreet about such things. Like, for example, one of them was Sam Shepard, who was living down the hall from me with Patti Smith at the time. And I didn't know that part of it. I just saw him one night in the back of Max's because I had done one of these big drawings, and it was of him. And I had never seen him before. And my two gay friends sitting across from me said, "You're not going to believe this. Your drawing just walked into the room." And he was drop dead gorgeous in those days. And I said, well, I had a look, and I said, oh, there's something's supposed to happen here. He's going to be over here buying me a tequila very shortly. And so something progressed, and he was blown away when I took him back to my room. I mean, I didn't take him back to my room, but he asked if he could come. And the drawing was on. I said, well, before we walk in, I should warn you of something because it might be a little shocking. I said, I've never seen you before, but there's something on my wall that looks awfully like you. Not only did it look like him, he had a play called The Tooth of Crime, and it looked like I had illustrated the play because one of the people in the play had a brace on their leg, one of the women, and it was all about rock heroes and this and that. And it looked like the original production, which was done at the Performing Garage, which had Willem Dafoe and Spalding Gray. All these great people were part of that troupe. Liz Latham, people that have all been doing stuff for years. And this is them when they were babies and first making their mark, as they were, I saw the productions and they were great. But when I saw that production, it must have been as shocking for me as it was for Sam to walk in and go, oh my God, not only is that me, but it's an illustration of my play.